My fiance posted a video on Snapchat and forgot to turn off the sound. In the background, I heard a guy call her name. Would you ever, help him out with his needs? Chloe answered, no way. I make 7 figures. He's just a lap. Dog I keep around. I let out a bitter laugh and threw down the pink diamond. Ring I've been holding. I texted my dad. Dad, I'll do the arranged marriage. Fire Chloe from the company. Then I called the wedding planner. Hey, for the wedding in 10 days. We need to change the bride's name. Yeah, we're switching her out. We'll go over everything when we meet. I hung up right as Chloe came out of the bathroom. Her hair was still damp and steam was coming off her bathrobe. Usually she took 30 minutes to shower, but today she'd been in there a full hour. She glanced at the laptop on the table, still open, and quickly closed it. She frowned at me. Who are you talking to? Told her it was the wedding planner. Chloe visibly relaxed. She was sure I hadn't seen her chat history. If I had knowing me, I would have blown up and made her fire Brandon like I used to. Brandon was Chloe's new assistant, hired about a year ago, fresh out of college, young and charming. He was funny, energetic, and cute. Chloe really liked him, took him everywhere. Over time, business trips, you name it. I'd get jealous, and we'd fight about it. Constantly, she only agreed to marry me, to shut me up. The wedding's still 10 days away. You don't need to stress about every little detail. Chloe's tone was flat. No excitement at all. She probably thought I was just calling to nag the planner about something. 5 years, every holiday, every anniversary. I planned everything myself down to the smallest detail just to make her happy. Yeah, no need to stress now. The person I was marrying was even more detail-oriented than I was. The thought made me smile bitterly. Chloe flipped her wet hair impatiently. My hair is still soaking. Before, every time she showered, I patiently blow dry her hair. But now I didn't want to. Sorry, I've got something important to do. You'll have to dry it yourself. Chloe froze. Her voice turned sharp. What could a house husband like you possibly be busy with? Your main job is taking care of me. You said that yourself. Have you forgotten? A sharp pain hit my chest. 5 years ago, I did say I'd take good care of her, but now I don't want any more. I don't want to take care of you anymore, Chloe. With that, I grabbed my jacket and walked out without looking back. When I got home, I dropped to my knees in front of my parent. Mom, Dad, I was wrong. I'll agree to the arranged marriage. Same wedding date, different bride. My parents looked shocked and immediately asked what happened to be with Chloe. I cut them off and moved out. 5 years ago, a few months back, when they found out I was marrying Chloe, they had enough. They came to me saying they'd found me a perfect match. The ace of the Sterling Group, my childhood friend. She was better than Chloe in every possible way. I'd refused. I insisted Chloe was my true love. Turns out Chloe had slapped me in the face and crushed my heart. Son, are you sure about this arranged marriage? Shouldn't you at least meet her first? My mom helped me up. Worried? No need. I trust your judgment. At least I wouldn't get my heart broken again. Late that night, Chloe called Liam. My hair didn't dry properly and now I'm sick. Can you bring me some medicine? Her voice was soft and sweet, clearly trying to make up after every fight. If she softened her voice, I'd always cave, but not this time. Don't you have an assistant? Have him bring you medicine. I'm busy. Got to go. Chloe's voice shot up. What's your problem? Why are you bringing him up out of nowhere? You're my husband. Of course, you should take care of me. I stayed quiet for 5 years. Chloe had bossed me around like this. She trampled on everything I did for her, constantly giving other guys attention. And I was too stupid to see it. Blinded by love. I kept telling myself she just had a bad temper, but still loved me. It wasn't until I saw her comparing me to Brandon, saying I was boring and he was exciting, that I finally got it. She only loved herself. I told you I'm busy. Figure out yourself. I hung up. My parents looked relieved. The next morning I went home to pack my stuff. When I opened the door, Chloe was lying on the couch, looking pitiful. You finally came back. She was pale, clutching her stomach. I sighed. She must have been really upset. Yesterday, she had stomach issues. Whenever she got emotional, her stomach would hurt. Even though I was done, seeing her like this still got to me. I found a medicine cabinet. Grab. I have some cold medicine. Poured a glass of water and brought it to her. There's medicine in the cabinet. Couldn't you have gotten it yourself? She took the medicine, but before she could answer, a guy's voice called out, Chloe, should I add sugar to the porridge? Brandon walked out of the kitchen wearing an apron. The second he saw me, he stopped, then laughed. Liam, you're here. You looked like the man of the house, greeting a guest, and he caught himself. Oh, you're back, Liam. Chloe's had a fever, and her stomach's been killing her. She said you were busy, so she had to call me for medicine. That's when I noticed a pharmacy bag on the coffee table. I couldn't help but smile. Guess I worry for nothing again. Chloe tilted her head back, swallowed the pill, and drank the water I poured. Honey, your medicine always works best. Don't be. No, I waited for you all night, but you never came. This morning I felt so awful. I had to call my assistant. She leaned her head on my shoulder weakly. The second I saw you, I felt so much better. Brandon, you can head back to work now. She waved him off. After he left, Chloe took my hand. Honey, I was wrong yesterday. I shouldn't have talked to you like that. Can you forgive me? She rarely called me honey, and this was the first time she picked me over. Brandon in front of him. I knew exactly how to make me feel secure, but she'd never been willing to do it. Now it was too late. I gently pulled my hand away, stood up, and said, you should rest. Don't overthink things. In the kitchen, I saw 2 sets of dishes in the sink. My heart sank. Brandon had been here since last night. Chloe had lied to me again. I pulled out my phone and checked Brandon's Snapchat from last night. Still only visible to me. Boss is such a hard worker, still working overtime, while sick before her wedding. Brought her medicine and a late night snack. The photo showed him throwing up a peace sign next to Chloe's sleeping face. Well, if he wanted to take my place so badly, he could have it. I went to the wedding planner's office to handle switching the bride since I'd overseen all the wedding arrangements, and Chloe had never even shown up. It was easy to sort out. Back home, the wedding photos in the living room felt like they were burning my eyes. I took them down along with all our photos from over the years, packed them in a box and got ready to throw them out. Pink card fell out an album. It said, Chloe will always love Liam. She'd written that when she confessed to me 5 years ago. Looking back on those 5 years, I realized Chloe didn't actually love me. She only loved what she loved. Her love had no respect. My clothes, my skincare, everything had to be brand she liked. The apartment we rented had to be decorated her way. Even our wedding home, though I oversaw the renovations. Chloe chose all the designs and furniture. I didn't actually like that French chic style, but because Chloe liked it, I forced myself to like it. 2. For 5 years, I compromised over and over. For love became someone I wasn't, only to be looked down on. I crumpled the card and tossed it in the trash. What are you doing? Chloe's voice came from behind me. I looked at the clock. It was already 7 o'clock in the evening, her usual time to get off work today. She hadn't worked overtime or had any work. Dinners. She'd come straight home. I was a little surprised. I closed the box, cleaning out some trash. She looked around, noticing something was missing from the living room where our wedding photos. I gave them to the wedding planner to use as a reference for the display boards. I said casually, not looking up. Oh, Chloe didn't ask more. She held up a box. Don't worry about that yet. I brought you your favorite shrimp buns. Comete. I opened a box. Shrimp buns. I didn't pick up my chopsticks. Chloe frowned. What's wrong? I'm allergic to shrimp. She knew that, but she'd forgotten. Chloe's face fell, guilt flashing across it. Oh God, I totally forgot. I'll go buy you something else right now. She grabbed the box and headed back out. I pulled out my phone and sure enough, there was Brandon's Snapchat post. Yay, boss brought me my favorite shrimp king buns for my overtime dinner. There it was. It was Brandon's favorite. You just grab an extra one for me. Chloe came back in. Hour later, this time she bought my favorite crab buns. Seemed still packing. She set down the takeout box softly. You don't have to rush. We'll move into our new place together after the wedding, and I'll help you organize then. Yeah, I just want to get rid of some useless stuff first. I said dismissively. Didn't you always say you wanted to see the Northern Lights in Iceland? I took a month off for a honeymoon so I can go with you. Chloe, seeing my lack of enthusiasm, offered before. I would have been thrilled, would have picked her up and spun her around. But now I knew we wouldn't be going together. See me staring at the torn off calendar on the table. Chloe finally frowned. When did you buy that countdown calendar? A bold red 5 was marked on it. I bought it yesterday. 5 days from now is the most important day of my life, so I'm keeping track. My tone was flat, but Chloe's eyes lit up. All right, 5 days from now is our wedding. You're so thoughtful. She grabbed my face and kissed me, but then her phone rang. After one glance, her expression changed. Honey, something came up at work. I need to go back for overtime. I nodded, then stood up and started carrying the box outside. I'll take out the trash. You don't need to. Come down. It's cold out. Chloe eagerly grabbed the box and left. All she had to do was open it and look inside to see that the trash was our wedding photos, a couple's albums, and the confession card. She'd written, if she'd seen it, she would have realized I was leaving. If she'd realized, she would have come back desperately trying to keep me. Unfortunately, she never found out. Late that night, I scrolled through Brandon's Snapchat. Suddenly got diarrhea during overtime. Good thing my boss is taking care of me. So happy. The picture showed Chloe with her sleeves rolled up, holding medicine and water. Must have been those shrimp king buns. Good thing I didn't eat any. I went out with my old friends and had a long night of drinking. Before, Chloe wouldn't let me drink and didn't like me having my own social life. Now I was finally free. I woke up from my hangover late the next afternoon. Chloe walked in and set out a habit. I worked too late yesterday, so I just crashed at the office. She took off her coat tiredly, sniffed the air, and frowned. Where's that alcohol smell coming from? Drank too much with friends yesterday. Just crack a window. She frowned unhappy, but after looking at my face, she said nothing, right? She could spend all night taking care of her assistant and lie to me. What right did she have to control me? Glancing at the bold red 4 on the calendar, she seemed to remember something. Oh, by the way, your birthday is in 2 days. Do you want anything? She reminded me, and only then did I remember my birthday was coming up. No thanks. I don't want to celebrate. I echoed her own words from before. On her birthday that year, I prepared a whole table of food waiting for her, only be told I'm really busy at work and I don't want to celebrate my birthday. You don't have to wait for me. Later, I found out from Brandon's Snapchat that Chloe was closing her eyes and making a wish over a cake. Turns out she did not want to celebrate her birthday. She just didn't want to celebrate it with me. We had a huge fight that day. I yelled, asking her who she was thinking of when she made her wish. She said I was being petty, that her coworkers had forced her to celebrate and she couldn't refuse. She seemed to remember that guilt flickering in her eyes. No way. That's your last birthday before we get married. Chloe's voice held a rare, desperate note of insistence. Her eyes searching my face for the familiar, easy to please warmth that had defined me for the last 5 years. 1. I looked at her, really looked at her. Her damp hair was beginning to cling to her cheeks, and the faint scent of her expensive floral shampoo, the one she had insisted I buy in bulk because she liked the smell, regardless of whether it gave me a headache, drifted between us. There's really no need. Chloe, I said, my voice empty of any emotion. I'm just not in the mood for celebrations this year. Let's just let it pass. How can we let it pass? She stepped closer, reaching out to grab my arm. Her grip was tight, as if she sensed that if she let go now, she would never be able to hold on to me again. Liam, I know I've been busy lately. I know the wedding prep has been stressful on you, but I want to make it up to you. I'll book a table at La Potty Lauren for tomorrow night, just the two of us. No work, no phones. I promise. It was the most expensive French restaurant in the city with a 6-month waiting list. I had tried to book a table there for our 3rd anniversary, but she had canceled on me at the last minute because Brandon had accidentally locked himself out of his apartment with a quarterly reports inside. I had spent that anniversary eating cold takeout alone in our living room. Now she was offering it to me like a grand prize. Sure, I said, offering her a faint, empty smile. If that's what you want. Her face instantly cleared, a triumphant smile blooming on her lips. She let go of my arm and patted my cheek, her touch familiar yet entirely cold to me now. Good boy. I knew you were just throwing a little tantrum. Go take a shower and get some rest. I have some emails to reply to. She turned on her heel and walked back toward the bedroom, her fingers already flying across her phone screen. I stood in the quiet living room, looking down at the calendar. The bold red fur glared back at me for days. Left. 4 days until the trap sprung and the illusion she had built around her perfect life crumbled into ash. The next morning, I left the apartment early while Chloe was still asleep. I didn't leave a note. I didn't make her breakfast. For 5 years, my mornings had started at 6 a.m. squeezing fresh orange juice, poaching eggs to her exact preference, and ironing her designer suits. Today, I bought a cheap cup of black coffee from Street Cart and sat in my car, breathing in the crisp, cool morning air. My phone buzz. It was a message from my father. Liam, Clara is already at the designer's boutique. The wedding gown has been altered to her measurements. Your mother and I are meeting with the Sterling Group's legal team this afternoon to finalize the merger contracts. Are you absolutely sure about this? I stared at the text. Clara Sterling, my childhood friend, the girl who used to chase me through my father's gardens, laughing as her white sundress fluttered in the wind. When my parents had suggested our arranged marriage months ago, I had reacted with such anger. I had called it archaic, transactional, and soulless. I had insisted that what I had with Chloe was real love, a love built on mutual sacrifice. How blind I had been. My sacrifice was real. Chloe's was entirely non-existent. I typed back, I'm sure, Dad, Clara deserves the best. I won't let her down. Have a legal team proceed with the audit on Chloe's department today. Don't hold back. Understood, my dad replied. It's time you came home. Son, a wave of relief washed over me so intensely it made my chest ache. I started the car and drove toward the high-end boutique in the city's fashion district. When I walked through the glass doors, the soft chime of a bell echoed through the elegant minimalist showroom. Standing on a circular pedestal in the center of the room was Clara. She was wearing a breathtaking, off-the-shoulder wedding gown made of delicate French lace trailing behind her in a river of silk. The gown was a custom design I had spent 6 months collaborating on with a renowned Italian designer. I had originally designed it with Chloe's measurements in mind, but Clara and Chloe shared a remarkably similar height and frame, except Clara carried herself with a natural, effortless grace that Chloe could never hope to mimic. As Clara turned and saw me, her eyes lit up, a soft, genuine blush rising on her cheeks. Liam, she murmured, her voice like a gentle melody. You're here. You look beautiful, Clara, I said. And for the First time in 5 years, the compliment came from the very bottom of my heart. There was no pressure, no fear of saying the wrong thing, no walking on eggshells. Clara stepped down from the pedestal, her silk train rustling. She walked over to me, her eyes filled with a deep, quiet understanding. Your mother told me what happened. I'm sorry. You had to go through that, Liam, but I'm glad you're finally seeing things clearly. I was a fool, I said, looking down at my shoes. I let myself get trampled on because I thought that's what devotion meant. Clara gently reached out, her soft fingers lifting my chin, so I had a look in her warm hazel eyes. You're not a fool, Liam. You're a man who loves deeply and fiercely. She just didn't deserve that love. But I promise you, I will never make you feel small. I will never make you apologize for loving me. The sincerity in her voice was like a soothing balm on a raw wound. I took her hand, marveling at how light and peaceful it felt to simply hold it. Thank you, Clara. Let's make this the wedding of the century. By 7:00 p.m., I was sitting at our reserve table at Lupatloron. I had dressed in a simple tailored suit, one of the few high-quality items my father had gifted me that I hadn't let Chloe throw away. The restaurant was stunning, lit by low amber chandeliers with soft classical music playing in the background. Around me, couples laughed and whispered, sharing wine and dessert. I sat alone. 30 minutes passed, then 45. At exactly 8:15 p.m., my phone chimed on the tablecloth. It was a Snapchat notification. I opened the app. It was Brandon's private story, the one still set to be visible only to me. The photo showed the interior of a sleek Porsche, Chloe's car. The dashboard clock in the photo read 8:05 p.m. In the passenger seat, Brandon was holding a box of expensive artisan donuts, flashing a peace sign. The caption read, "Car broke down on the highway in the middle of rush hour. Thank God my beautiful savior abandoned her busy schedule to rescue her favorite assistant. Truly blessed." I let out a quiet, breathless laugh. It wasn't even painful anymore. It was just incredibly, hilariously pathetic. A second later, my phone vibrated with an incoming call from Chloe. I picked it up. "Hello, Liam." Chloe's voice sounded frantic. Background noise of rushing wind and highway traffic bleeding through the receiver. "Oh my God, I am so sorry. You're not going to believe what happened. The office had a massive emergency. A major client's shipment got delayed and Brandon had to rush to the warehouse to sort out, but his car broke down on the side of the highway. He stuck out here in the cold with all the contract templates. Is that so?" I asked, my voice entirely level. "Yes, I had to drive out to pick him up. I'm trying to call a tow truck for him now. I don't think I'm going to make it to the restaurant in time. I am so sorry. Honey, can we please reschedule? I'll make it up to you. I swear." "Don't worry about it, Chloe," I said softly. "Take your time. Make sure Brandon gets home safe and warm." It was a brief pause on the line. Chloe seemed taken aback by my complete lack of anger. Usually if she canceled on me for Brandon, I would argue, demand to know why her assistant couldn't just call an Uber, and we would end up in a screaming match that lasted until midnight. My sudden compliance was unsettling to her. AR, are you sure? You're not mad, she asked hesitantly. I'm not mad at all, I replied, and I meant it. I was actually thrilled. She had just handed me the perfect excuse to leave. Go, do what you need to do. Okay. Thank you, Liam. You're the best. I'll see you at home tonight. She hung up. I looked at the empty seat across from me. Then I pulled on my contacts and dialed Claire's number. Hey, I said when she answered. Are you busy? I have a reservation at La Potty Lauren, a full bottle of vintage Bordeaux and an empty chair. Clara laughed, a bright, joyful sound. Give me 15 minutes. I'm all ready. Putting on my coat. That night was the best birthday I had celebrated in 5 years. Clara and I talked about everything, our childhood memories, the books we loved, our mutual dreams for the future. She didn't check her phone once. She didn't talk down to the waiters. She didn't boast about her 7-figure salary or treat me like an accessory to her grand life. She looked at me with respect, admiration, and a quiet budding affection that made me feel alive again. When we parted ways at the end of the night, she kissed my cheek. Happy birthday, Liam. You're real. Life starts now. The next morning, 3 days before the wedding, the hammer fell. I was sitting in a cafe near the corporate headquarters of Chloe's company, Vanguard Creative. Vanguard was a high-end marketing firm, widely successful and prestigious. But what Chloe didn't know was that Vanguard was a wholly owned subsidiary of the Ascendant Group, the multi-billion dollar global conglomerate owned entirely by my family. For 5 years, I had kept my family's wealth a secret from her. When we first met, she was a struggling junior manager, and I was trying to live a normal life away from my family shadow. I wanted someone to love me for who I was, not my last name. As she climbed the corporate ladder, her ego swelled, and she began to view me as a jobless house husband who relied on her 7-figure income. I had stayed quiet, letting her believe she was the breadwinner simply because I loved her and wanted her to feel proud. But my father's corporate legal team had no such sentimentality. At 10 a.m., my father's head of corporate audits, a ruthless man named Mr. Advance, marched into the Vanguard headquarters with a team of 6 forensic accountants. By 11:30 a.m., my phone rang. It was Chloe. When I answered, her voice was trembling, completely stripped of its usual haughty confidence. She was practically hyperventilating. Liam, please answer me. Are you there? I'm here, Chloe. What's wrong? I asked, taking a slow sip of my coffee. It's a nightmare. The parent company, the Ascendant Group, they sent a surprise forensic audit team to our office. They've locked down the entire accounting department. They're auditing my regional division. Why would they do that? I asked, plain dumb. I don't know. They're accusing me of financial misconduct. They're looking at my travel expenses, my client entertainment budgets. Liam, they're flagging all the business trips I took this past year. The ones where I brought Brandon as my personal liaison. They're saying the company funded suites, the luxury dinners, the rental cars. They're saying none of it was authorized. What was it? Authorized? Chloe gasped, her voice turning sharp with panic and indignation. Of course, it was I. Approved it myself. I'm the regional director, but they're saying my approvals don't matter because Brandon's position as my personal liaison was never officially registered with HR. They're calling it embezzlement. Liam, they've suspended me pending a full investigation. They even escorted Brandon out of the building by security. I closed my eyes, savoring the mental image of a smug, smirking Brandon being marched out of the glass tower in front of all his coworkers. That sounds serious, Chloe, I said calmly. Serious. Liam, if they find me guilty, they'll blackball me from the entire industry. I'll lose my 7-figure salary. I'll lose everything. And the wedding is in 3 days. How can this be happening now? She began to sob openly. You have to help. Me, Liam. You always know how to calm me down. Can you come to the office? Can you pick me up? I am slow. I'm really busy today, I say, my voice cold and flat. I'm running some errands for the wedding. You're a smart, independent woman who makes 7 figures. Remember? I'm sure you can figure it out. Liam, how can you be so heartless? I'm going through a crisis. I have to go, Chloe. The wedding planner is calling. I hung up before she could utter another word. I looked at the countdown calendar on my phone. 3 days. The stage was set. The next 2 days passed in a blur of frantic preparation, while Chloe was desperately trying to hire lawyers and contact the upper management of Vanguard, unaware that every single one of her emails was being routed directly to my father's desk. I was quietly moving the remainder of my personal belongings out of our shared apartment. I only took what was mine, my books, my childhood photos, my clothes. I left behind everything she had bought for me, every piece of French chic furniture she had forced me to live with. On the eve of the wedding, I stood in the empty guest bedroom of my parents' estate, looking out over the manicured lawns. Clara walked in holding 2 glasses of champagne. She handed one to me, her fingers brushing mine. Tomorrow is the day, she said softly. Are you nervous? I asked, turning to look at her. Clara smiled, her eyes shining with a deep, unwavering certainty. Not even a little bit. I've waited years for you to realize your worth, Liam. Marrying you tomorrow isn't a transaction for me. It's a dream come true. I clinked my glass against hers to new beginnings. The morning of the wedding arrived. The venue was the Grand Sovereign Resort, an ultra-exclusive 5-star estate owned entirely by the Sterling Group. It was a sprawling masterpiece of classical European architecture featuring towering marble columns, lush botanical gardens, and a grand ballroom that overlooked a private lake. Because I had handled 100% of the wedding arrangements myself over the past year, while Chloe had repeatedly claimed she was too busy with work to even look at a seating chart switching. The logistics had been incredibly simple. The catering, the floral arrangements, the security, and the guest list had all been seamlessly updated. Only my close family, Clara's family, and our trusted friends knew the truth. To the rest of the world and to Chloe, the wedding was still proceeding exactly as planned. At 11 a.m., Chloe arrived at the resort. She was dressed in a casual silk robe, her hair and makeup team in tow, because she had been suspended for vanguard, and was facing potential legal ruin. She looked pale and exhausted, but there was a desperate glint of hope in her eyes. To her, this wedding was her salvation. Even if she lost her job, she still had her loyal, submissive house husband who would cook for her, clean for her, and provide her with absolute adoration. She walked into the bridal suite only to find it completely empty of her custom decorations. Instead, the room was filled with elegant white leaves and silver accents, Clara's favorite colors. Chloe's personal makeup artist, a woman named Sarah, whom I had hired, looked confused. Miss Chloe, the resort staff, said, "This suite is reserved for a Miss Sterling. They told us you're dressing. Room is down in the lower wing." Chloe's face darkened instantly. She snapped, her old, arrogant temper flaring up. "What? That's ridiculous. Liam planned this entire wedding. He knows I wanted the grand imperial suite. This must be a mistake. Where is the wedding coordinator?" Before Sarah could answer, the door to the suite opened and Brandon walked in because he had been fired and was facing criminal charges for corporate expense fraud. He looked incredibly disheveled. His usual charming, energetic smile was gone, replaced by a nervous, twitchy sweat. He was wearing his groomsman tuxedo, but it looked sloppy. "Chloe," Brandon whispered, rushing over to her. "I just tried to check in at the front desk. They said my name isn't on the guest list or the wedding party list. Security wouldn't even let me park my car in the VIP lot." Chloe gripped her silk robe, her knuckles turning white. "What is going on today?" "First the suite, now this. Liam, where the hell is Liam? He must have messed up the guest list. He's always been so incompetent with these things." She snatched her phone off the vanity and dialed my number. I was standing in the groom's suite, adjusting my bespoke tuxedo when my phone rang. I picked it up on the third ring. "Liam," Chloe screamed into the phone. "What is the meaning of this? Why is Brandon's name not on the guest list? And why are they trying to kick me out of the Imperial Bridal Suite? Get up here right now and sort this out. I am the bride, and I will not be treated like this on my wedding day." "I'm busy, Chloe," I said, my voice incredibly calm. "I'm getting ready." "Getting ready? Your main job is to make sure everything today is perfect. For me, do you have any idea how much stress I've been under with the audit? And now you're failing me on our wedding day. If you don't fix this in 10 minutes, I swear to God, I'm calling this whole thing off." It was her favorite threat. 4 or 5 years. Whenever she didn't get her way, she would threaten to break up with me, to call off the engagement, to leave me. And every single time I would beg, apologize, and do whatever it took to make her stay. This time I just smiled. "Go ahead, Chloe," I said softly. "Call off." Before she could process what I had said, I hung up. At 1:00 p.m., the grand ballroom was packed with over 300 high society guests, the cream of the crop of the business world. Politicians and socialites were all seated in the gold-trimmed mahogany pews. At the front of the altar stood my father, looking proud and commanding alongside Clara's parents, the heads of a sterling group. I stood at the center of the altar, looking sharp, confident, and entirely at peace. Suddenly, the heavy double Doors at the back of the ballroom slammed open. The entire crowd gasped, turning their heads in unison. Standing in the doorway was Chloe. She had bypassed security by slipping through the service elevators. She was wearing a wedding dress, but it wasn't the custom Italian gown. It was a cheap, off-the-rack lace dress she had frantically bought from a local bridal shop when she realized her designer dress was nowhere to be found in her dressing room. Her hair was half done, and her makeup was smudged from tears of sheer rage. Behind her, Brandon was desperately trying to hold her back, looking terrified as the high society crowd stared at them in utter disgust. Liam, Chloe shrieked, her voice echoing off the vaped ceilings of the ballroom. What is the meaning of this? Who are all these people? These are my friends. These are my clients. She marched down the aisle, her heels clicking furiously against the marble floor. And who is she? Chloe screamed, pointing a trembling, manicured finger at the side entrance of the altar. Clara had just stepped out, escorted by her father. She looked like an absolute queen in the custom Italian lace gown, her long diamond veil catching the light of the crystal chandeliers. She looked radiant, elegant, and completely unbothered by Chloe's hysterical entrance. I stepped forward, standing protectively in front of Clara. Chloe, I said, my voice projecting clearly across the silent, stunned ballroom. I told you 10 days ago we changed the bride. Chloe let out a hysterical, mocking laugh, her eyes wide with disbelief. Change the bride? Are you insane, Liam? You're marrying her? Some random girl you picked up to try and make me jealous? She turned to the crowd, raising her hands. Listen to me, everyone. This man is a fraud. He's my fiancé. He's a useless, jobless house husband who has lived off my 7-figure income for the last 5 years. He doesn't have a penny to his name. He couldn't even afford to pay for the dry cleaning of that tuxedo he's wearing. I bought the apartment we live in. I bought the food he eats. He is nothing without me. The crowd erupted into quiet, hushed whispering, but it wasn't the kind of whispering Chloe expected. They weren't looking at me with pity or disgust. They were looking at Chloe as if she were a lunatic. My father stepped forward, his face like carved granite. He adjusted his cuffs, his gaze locking on at Chloe with an icy intensity that made her stumble backward. A useless house husband. My father's deep baritone voice boomed through the microphone. Miss Chloe, I think you have severely misunderstood the reality of your situation. Chloe blinked, her voice faltering as she looked at my father. Who are you? I am Jonathan Sterling Vance. My father said coldly, chairman and CEO of the Ascended Group, the parent company that owns Vanguard. Creative, the company that currently employs you, or rather employed you, until 9 a.m. this morning. Chloe's jaw dropped, the color completely drained from her face, leaving her a sickly, ghostly white. Sage Chairman Vance. No, that's impossible. Liam is just a nobody. Liam is my only son and the sole heir to the entire Ascendant Group fortune. My father declared, his voice filled with pride. The very apartment you claim to own it belongs to one of our real estate subsidiaries. The luxury car you drive, it was leased under Vanguard's corporate account, paid for by our funds. The regional director position you held, it was handed to you because my son quietly asked me to give you a chance 5 years ago when you were nothing but a struggling assistant. Chloe shook her head violently, tears finally spilling over her cheeks. No, that can't be true. Liam, tell me he's lying. You wouldn't lie to me for 5 years. You love me. I did love you, Chloe, I said, stepping forward. My voice was calm, devoid of the anger she expected. I loved you enough to let you think you were the center of the universe. I loved you enough to ignore the way you talked, down to me, the way you treated me like a servant, the way you constantly threw Brandon in my face. At the mention of Brandon's name, the young assistant tried to quietly slip out of the back doors of the ballroom, but too burly. Suited security guards immediately blocked his path, grabbing him by the arms. And speaking of Brandon, I continued, raising my phone with a quick tap. The massive projector screens on either side of the altar, originally set up to show a slideshow of Clara and my childhood photos, flickered to life. Instead of romantic photos, the screens displayed high-resolution screenshots of Brandon's private Snapchat stories. There was the photo of Brandon throwing up a peace sign next to Chloe's sleeping face. There was the photo of Chloe bringing him soup and medicine while lying to me about working late. And most damning of all, there was the leaked chat log between Chloe and Brandon from 3 weeks ago, which our corporate IT department had pulled from a company issued phone. Brandon, when are you going to dump the house husband boss? He's so boring. You deserve a real man like me. Chloe soon, babe. He's just a loyal dog I keep around to do my laundry and cook my meals. Once the wedding is over and I secure the marital assets, I'll relegate him to the guest room and we can play whenever we want. The ballroom gasped. The sheer naked malice and opportunism of the messages sent a wave of disgust through the entire crowd. Chloe stared at the screens, her breath hitching in her throat. She looked around the room, realizing that every single person in the high society elite, the people she had spent her entire career trying to impress, was now looking at her with absolute loathing. No, please, she sobbed, falling her knees on a marble aisle, her cheap wedding dress bunched up around her. Liam, please. I was stupid. I was blind. Brandon seduced me. He manipulated me. I didn't mean any of those things. I swear. I love you. I've always loved you. She crawled forward, trying to reach the hem of my trousers. But Clara stepped in front of me, her gaze cool and unyielding. Security, Clara said, her voice commanding and sharp. Please escort these two trespassers off the premises and call the police. The Ascendant Group's legal team has already filed formal charges for corporate embezzlement and fraud against both of them. The security guards moved in quickly. They grabbed Brandon, who was crying and screaming, blaming Chloe for everything. It was her. She forced me to do it. She approved the expenses. I'm just an assistant. Don't arrest me. Brandon shrieked as he was dragged out of the grand doors. Chloe screamed, thrashing, as two security guards lifted her off the floor. Her cheap dress tore at the shoulder, her perfectly styled hair falling wild and messy around her face. Liam, you can't do this to me. We've been together for 5 years. 5 years. You can't just throw me away for her. She screamed, her voice cracking with pure desperation. I'm your true love, Liam. Liam, her screams faded down the long marble corridor as the heavy oak doors of the ballroom slammed shut, locking her out of my life forever. The silence in the ballroom lasted for only a second before a warm, gentle murmur of approval swept through the guests. I turned to Clara. Her eyes were soft, reflecting the light of the crystal chandeliers. She reached out and took my hand, her fingers intertwining with mine. Perfectly. Are you ready to start, eh? Life, Liam, she whispered. I looked at her, feeling a profound sense of peace and happiness that I hadn't felt in 5 long years. The weight of the past, the anger, the resentment, it had all evaporated, leaving only a bright, clear future ahead. I'm ready, I said, smiling. The wedding march began to play, beautiful and triumphant, echoing through the grand hall as I led my true bride down the aisle.